Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Right now on the MTN News at 5:30, a nationwide pilot shortage hits home.
I've never seen the capacity down this low in the summer. This is the lowest we've ever had.
Fewer pilots means fewer flights, and that could impact your travel plans this summer. Plus, why do flights seem so much cheaper out of Bozeman?
It's like 3 times more leaving out of Missoula.
We compare Montana's airports to find out. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. I'm Russ Riesinger. Last month at the Montana Conference on Tourism, Billings announced the city is ready to welcome any and all visitors with open arms. However, there's just one problem. A nationwide pilot shortage is making it harder and more expensive for them to get here. Our Casey Conlon takes a closer look.
The Billings Airport is suffering at the bottom of a trickle-down effect. Fewer pilots means fewer flights, not for major cities, but for smaller destinations like the Magic City. And fewer flights means fuller flights, and often a much bigger hit to your wallet.
Last night he had one seat left, and this guy paid $1,600 one way to take that seat. I went, that's expensive.
Seats are in high demand on planes going in and out of Billings. Airport Aviation Director Kevin Plone says the major carriers have cut Billings service sometimes more than in half. And it could be worse.
I was complaining a little bit to one of them, and they basically said, well, some places we're telling them they only get one flight. So, take the 2.
There's a lot more flight times going in and out of Bozeman as well.
Justin Garrison travels to Montana from Denver a lot for work. His company looks at both Billings and Bozeman, but it's hard for the former to compete.
Because a lot of it's based on availability, just when works best schedule-wise.
The saving grace, Plone says, is that carriers are starting to send bigger planes, so the total number of passengers won't necessarily go down if seats stay in demand. But the lack of a low-cost airline option is a noticeable gap. Allegiant has cut service to just 2 destinations, and Frontier Airlines are gone altogether.
If we had a low-cost carrier here to compete, I think that would help a lot, but we don't right now.
Plone's next hope for drumming up excitement? Billings finally opening its new terminal.
We were hoping to open it before Memorial Day. It's still a question mark. It might happen. Okay. So we'll see. If it's not, it'll be early June.
Just how busy it will be is the next question. Casey Conlon, MTN News.
The Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport here in Belgrade has year after year established itself as the busiest airport in Montana. But what sets it apart from airports around the state? As the busy summer travel season gets set to take off, hopes are high at the Bozeman Airport.
What we're expecting going into summer is we'll probably see the leveling off of the record traffic that we saw last year. And that record traffic has continued on for the past 13 months, and it will continue on into May as well.
In 2021, the airport set an all-time record of 1.94 million passengers. Billings Logan Airport saw less than half that traffic, serving around 770 passengers, just above Missoula Airport's 760,000. And passenger numbers have only increased in Bozeman in 2022.
Over the most recent 12 consecutive months, we handled about 2.2 million passengers through the airport.
Many of those travelers drive hours from places like Billings and Missoula, cities with airports, but where the flights are often more expensive.
It was like 3 times more leaving out of Missoula.
Avery Elder drove 200 miles to drop off her fiancé.
Normally Allegiant and American Airlines are just way better personally, in my opinion, here. Way cheaper, so that's why we drove.
Subsidies have contributed to the Bozeman Airport's success. The airport became the state's busiest in 2013, a title Billings had claimed for decades. And that has a domino effect. More passengers means more revenue, and more revenue means the ability to attract a diversity of airlines with lower carrier prices.
Ultimately, it's really about demand.
And as COVID restrictions ease, the airport is only expecting traffic to grow. Montanans ready to travel and are not afraid to find a deal. In Belgrade, Jackie Coffin, MTN News.
48-year-old Gwen Marshall of Billings has been identified as the victim in Saturday night's homicide on Stone Street. According to Sheriff Mike Linder, Marshall was shot at the residence on 3246 Stone Street and died on scene. Linder said yesterday that the case has officially turned into a homicide investigation. So far, no arrests have been made, but based on what detectives have learned, Linder says there's no reason to believe that there's any ongoing threat to the community. The investigation remains ongoing tonight. Charges have been filed in regards to last summer's Boulder 2700 fire, the wildfire that destroyed several homes and buildings along Flathead Lake and forced hundreds of families to evacuate their homes. Court documents show Craig Allen McCrae has been charged with 3 felony counts of arson for the fire that started back on July 31st, 2021 and burned 2,300 acres along Highway 35 near Finley Point. McCrae is also facing charges for 2 smaller fires in the area. The Lake County documents state detectives collected more than 100 hours of video footage from businesses and residences to identify suspects. Detectives then interviewed a woman whose phone had pinged at all 3 fire locations. She admitted to being at the scene of each fire with McCrae. According to court documents, the woman said McCrae would get out of the car and start a fire with a torch. A $1 million bond for McCrae has now been set. The ACLU of Montana is threatening more legal action against Montana's state health department if the state does not comply with the judge's order from April. The Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services is already entangled in a lawsuit with the ACLU over a 2021 law which required transgender Montanans to get surgery and a court order to update their sex on their birth certificates. Prior to 2021, transgender Montanans who submitted a form and an affidavit could update their certificate. In April, a Yellowstone County District judge ordered DPHHS to return to the prior process while the lawsuit was argued in court. However, almost a month after the judge issued the order, the state says it is still reviewing the court's decision, and the process for transgender Montanans to update their birth certificate is on hold. The ACLU said the state's unwillingness to comply shows disrespect for the judiciary and disregard for transgender Montanans. DPHHS did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
Last evening, we talked about the possibility of some stronger storms developing, especially from Billings south through northern Wyoming. And it's really down here around Graybull Basin that we're seeing a stronger storm cell, a severe thunderstorm warning into effect right over the basin area right now as we continue to watch the potential for about 1.25 inch sized hail. And there could be a fairly good amount of it as well with this strong storm cell here. You'll notice it continues to move through. So hail and heavy rain, gusty winds along with this cell. We're also seeing some thunder and lightning here through central and southern Wyoming. That's continuing to move off towards South Dakota. As we start getting into the rest of the evening hours, some of these storms will quickly start to fade with the heat of the day starting to dissipate. But we are watching a deep trough of low pressure that'll move into the picture as we start looking into tomorrow evening. That's going to bring a shift in the weather pattern from the pleasant conditions again tomorrow to cooler, wetter, and windier weather. Details coming up.
If you've ever thought that your vote doesn't really matter, well, this month's Billings schools election certainly proved that every vote does make a difference. Last night, the school board voted to accept the results of the election. All 4 of the trustee races were decided by fewer than 100 votes. But in District 7, just a single vote gave challenger John Von Langen the victory over incumbent Brian Yates. Despite that razor-thin margin, Yates says he will not seek a recount in the race.
We've seen across the nation what contesting elections can look like, the divisiveness that can come from that. Divisiveness led us to this great point where now maybe we can work together going forward. Maybe we can see some of that unity and I think we can have a better model. Honestly, I feel that contesting the election and requesting a recount, I think it opens it up to continue that division.
Yates says that more people are now engaged with School District 2's school board, and he says that is a great thing. Well, ground has officially been broken on the new St. Jude Dream Home in Billings. Construction crews will be building a 1,900 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in the Legacy West subdivision on the city's west end. That house will also feature a 3-car garage. All the money raised from this year's raffle will support the family of 9-year-old Joseph as he battles muscle cell cancer. This will be the 4th home giveaway through St. Jude, and finding people to donate their time and money is no longer a challenging task.
You know, the first campaign, so this is number 4, but the first campaign was a little bit hard to go say, hey, can you donate, you know, sometimes $20,000, $30,000 to an amazing cause. It's easy now. Like the guys all are happy to be a part, and since I've had the opportunity to learn more about St. Jude and what they do, it's really easy to ask a guy to, hey, can you donate some time to help kids with cancer? It's an easy ask.
Well, now a look at what caught our eye today, and it's a marriage proposal in front of thousands of concert goers at Metro Park. Take a look. That's Brooke Gutierrez and her now fiance, Darren Kapfer. Darren proposed during this past weekend's Morgan Wallen concert just a few rows from the stage. Morgan Wallen caught wind of the proposal and actually surprised Brooke with flowers during the concert. Pretty sweet moment. If you see something that catches your eye, email it to news@ktvq.com or send it to us on Facebook. Well, still ahead on the MTN 530 News here on Q2, a baby formula shortage is hitting all parents hard. Now some Montanans are crossing the border to Canada or traveling to different cities just to feed their infants. And in sports, after making a career of pinning opponents on the mats, this Golden Bear is now hoping to pin down Athlete of the Year.
The MTN 530 News continues right after this. From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Baby formula is getting harder and harder to find across the United States amid a nationwide shortage. Supply chain snarls related to COVID-19 are contributing to the issue. That includes manufacturers struggling to find key ingredients, packaging hang-ups, and labor shortages. Those factors alone have impacted production and distribution. Not only that, but a major baby formula recall in January amplified the shortages. It's being felt across the country and right here in Montana. MTN spoke to a mother who said she's visited every grocery store in Hamilton and Missoula before she was able to find only a small supply for her son. Cassidy Bell needed a specific formula because of her son's allergies and said she had to fight against panic when she realized his food wasn't available. Posting a video of empty shelves to social media, Bell said mothers in her community are crossing state lines, ordering from Canada, or making their own formula to make ends meet. Bell added that even though pandemic shortages are not new, many mothers have been caught unprepared.
I mean, we got a taste of it during COVID, like not being able to find toilet paper and certain things, but no, yeah, we weren't expecting this at all. I mean, I don't think many parents expect, I mean, it's so hard to be a parent in the first place, like figuring out how to take care of your child and do it correctly, and to have something like this is just super stressful and unfair that people are going through this right now.
In hopes of relieving some of that stress, Nestle is now rushing to get baby formula in the hands of parents who need it. The company is flying in Gerber baby formula from overseas to help ease the nationwide shortage. In a statement, Nestle said it's expediting these products to the U.S. from the Netherlands and Switzerland and significantly increasing its production here in the U.S. The company adds it's prioritizing hypoallergenic formulas to help fill immediate needs. Well, coming up in weather, a beautiful spring day today. How long will the good times last? Ed will let us know with the full 7-day forecast. That's coming up next.